Well, apparently you all think that this 5% number is not high enough, or we can definitely beat this 5% estimate. Why we set this expectation at 5% then?
Firstly, it's being conservative because exports this year will be even more challenging. Towards the last quarter of 2022, we've seen deceleration of exports growth, right? Because foreign demands are being depressed by tightening policies by the overseas central bank to tame inflation. So as a result, this is the part of the economy that we cannot control, right? So it really depends on the external demand for Chinese goods, which is decelerating. So if you look at the most recent trade data, we're still showing a very strong trade surplus, and that is because we're importing less from foreign countries, while the Chinese exports, even though it's decelerating, but it's just decelerating slower than the domestic demand. So what that means is that the foreign demand, for some reason, is slowing down less than the domestic demand. But having said all that, the first 2 months of the year is always sort of difficult to compare, because of the Chinese New Year. So I think going into March and also onto the second quarter, we'll have a better glimpse of how the export number are going to be. But having said that, this is part of the economy that we can't control, right? So it really depends on how much exports is going to drag on GDP growth. And besides that, the property sectors, after gone through a very difficult year last year, and is starting to recover. So even though we're seeing very early signs of recovery in the sector, it takes time. So experience has told us that it takes more than half a year for the industry to come back to sort of its full form. So I think one has to be patient. As I mentioned just now, the turning of the economic cycle is here. But one shouldn't be too hasty to sort of jump into any conclusion that we are going too slow or too fast. Because after all, this is only early March in 2023.